Good evening, everyone. It's Tuesday, May 20th, 2025. You're watching Co-op for Two, and you're joining me for Case 3 in the Suzaku Detective Series. Cases 1 and 2 have been decidedly mixed. The first one, well, it's not even by case. It's that the setup, the structure of the storytelling is good, and then the actual solution to the mysteries ranges from excellent to really terrible. And this is the third and final case in this box, and I think we're all a little curious to see how it's going to go out. Is it going to end on a high note, or is it going to collapse under its own weight? Let's check in with the chat here. It's a little warm in the room today. I'm not sure why. Okay, Derek is doing his little trick, asking about the next game we're going to play before we've even started this one. Tony was asking about solo engine builders because Tony is a female name, normally, Toni, although Tony Granat may not even be from the United States. That may be different in other countries. Not really that much of a solo gamer, but I did make a couple of recommendations under Falling Skies and Roll Through the Ages. There are some great multiplayer engine building games. And but this question is being asked because I recently did 2 live streams playing through something called City of Six Moons, which is supposed to be an engine building game from Aliens, and the whole point of it is to try to figure out the rules to the game with them only being written in symbols. And I streamed about 6 hours of it. I really liked it. I think I've played as much of it as I need to play. But it was a very enjoyable experience, puzzle-like deductive experience trying to figure it out. I would recommend it if that kind of thing sounds appealing to you. One of my favorite engine building, civilization building board games is called Nations. a game that needs a reprint because the cards are pretty ugly. But at its core, it's a pretty nice game. But Terraforming Mars and Wingspan are all good multiplayer engine building games. For solo games, Under Falling Skies, and Roll Through the Ages, which is a Matt Leacock game. And segueing from Matt Leacock, I can see that reviewer copies of Fate of the Fellowship, Matt Leacock's latest pandemic spinoff, are hitting the reviewers on YouTube. And it certainly looks intriguing. I am interested in checking it out. There is a movie, I'm trying to remember the name of it, but I think it's got Tony something in the name. It's the name of a person. It's a non-English movie. If you go to Greg's movie channel, one of the videos where I'm on it, I mention it. It's called oh, I can't remember the name. Maybe someone will remember it for me. It's called Tony something. It's a two-part name. It's foreign. It's a really cool movie about an adult woman and her father. And quite special. Tony something. Maybe someone in the channel can search and find it. Until then, perhaps we'll just open up the box and get started. Did I already say that I've just finished my third case, writing my third case for New York Noir? I think it's probably going to take people 6 or 7 hours to play through. It's a big, giant case. It was not especially fun to write. And it still needs some editing, but it'll be available to play through pretty soon. You should start with the demo case for New York Noir first. But I just posted on Board Game Geek a little screenshot of it. Okay. So we've played through the Paris Tunnel Mystery first, then we played The Missing Quarter. Both of them had a similar structure of 2 cases set apart by a number of years. But it looks like this third one might be different. And maybe we're going to get a little wrap-up of our mystery organization that had its hands in the first 2 cases. There's our solution, you'll remember, and here are our cards. All right, no one has thought of the name. No one has researched the name. Maybe it's not so easy to find. Tony something. Toni is the name of the movie. It's like it's going to be, it's not French, it's like Belgian or Swiss or something. Or maybe I'm remembering it wrong. That's why you can't find it. Okay, let's get started here. The Matrix Murder. Now we've got these red letters. Do we need to figure out what these letters go together? Is there any chance that they go together? It feels like there's too many consonants, not enough vowels, but I guess there's a bunch of vowels there. Is there any sense in which these work together? Suppose you could put Tony Erdmann, that's it, Tony Erdmann. That Jonathan found the movie I'm thinking of. Tony Erdmann, it's a comedy. but it's really quite unusual and special. And it's one of those movies that there's certain movies that resonate as you get older. And I think that's one of them. You might want to check it out, especially if you have a strained relationship with your parents or kids. Tony Erdman, exactly right. Okay, does anything jump out here? I guess we could put this into an acronym, not acronym, anagram program online if we want to see if that's going to make anything. It feels like there's too many consonants to me. May just be design. All right. Tony Erdman, that's exactly it. All right, let's see. Please take out the card related to the Matrix murder from the item envelope. Okay, so it says again, the card. It's not really the card, it's a whole set of cards. But it's probably meaning background knowledge card. All right. Read the script carefully. After reading the script, review the clue cards, organize the clues, deduce the method of the crime, identify the murderer, and then read the truth ending. So there's no two-parter here, just one-parter. Background card is just for background knowledge. Okay, so same thing everywhere. The Night Killer organization has always been a terrifying legend in City H. It is said that this murderer is a fanatic fan of Saw, and his favorite thing to do is capture several unlucky individuals and then slaughter them one by one in a peculiar order. Suzaku Detective, upon invitation, assisted the police and was captured and brought here, according to the habits of the Night Killer, marking the beginning of a life or death game. All right, so far in the books it hasn't felt like it's been machine translated or particularly bad, other than some odd choices of words. But it feels like they're starting to get a little bit sloppy here. It's a Night Killer organization, but then a single murderer. Slaughter them in a peculiar order. All right, it's okay. Under the dim light in a rough-walled, unfinished room. Wait a minute. Before we read this, maybe we should be reading the background knowledge card. Does not contain spoilers. All right, let's see. Water makes up about 70% of human body weight. About 76% of muscle weight is water. 68% to 83% of the weight of internal organs is water. Even bones, which appear very solid, contain more than 20% water. All right. Under the dim light in a rough-walled, unfinished room, a faint scent of decay fills the air. What's going on? Where am I? I sit up, supporting my throbbing head, and observe my surroundings. It's a quadrilateral room with several strangers sitting or standing around, all looking bewildered. Besides the 7 of us, there are 2 tightly closed iron doors in the room. One door has the word exit emblazoned on it and features a keyhole. The other iron door has no markings or keyholes. Additionally, there's a strange stone carving on the wall. A sturdy man stands up, his deep voice resonating. It seems none of us know each other. We've just been thrown together here. Let's take turns introducing ourselves. I'm a police officer. I'm a forensic scientist, says a man in white clothes from the corner. I'm a butcher, says a man with a heavy face. I'm a coal miner, says a man covered in coal dust, looking down. I'm unemployed, says a sharp-looking thin man comfortably. Me too, says a woman in a fiery red dress and a super short skirt with black stockings, hesitantly. Stop pretending. A thief and a massage girl. You still don't dare to admit who you are at this point? The police officer sneers. Oh, sorry, I'm not going to be able to keep the voices. I'm not going to be able to keep track of 7 voices. There's a thief, coal miner, unemployed. Maybe he's the thief. A thief and a massage girl. Okay. You corrupt trash. You're no better than me. The thief angrily flips off the police officer. You're looking for trouble. The police officer strides forward, swinging his fist at the thief. The miner, scared, shrinks next to the forensic scientist. All right, stop it. We're all caught and brought here. Can we figure out first a way to get out? Oh, this is the massage girl. The massage girl pleads with a pained expression. Shut up, trash. Are you ordering me around? The police officer turns, coldly staring at the massage girl, suddenly pulling out a gun from his waist. Don't think I don't know what's going on. Soon one of us will die, and the murderer is that damn night killer. The night killer? No, why would he choose me? Why? The massage girl's face shows terror as she cries out. The others are silent, as if digesting this hopeless news. Night killer, night killer. I look down at my white gloves, finally remembering everything. Mr. Police Officer, can you help us get out? The miner asks timidly. What? The night killer? Isn't he just an urban legend? Is he real? The thief appears incredulous. He's not just an urban legend. He is real. I can testify to that. The forensic scientist suddenly speaks up, drawing everyone's attention. He adjusts his glasses and says, in my work, I've autopsied bodies killed by the night killer. The deaths were too horrible to witness. What nonsense to drag me here for no reason. I'll make him pay, the butcher yells discontentedly. The crowd begins to argue loudly, and the police officer, seeing this, pulls out his gun as a conflict seems imminent. All right, everyone, please calm down and listen to me. I quickly signal for this is us talking. I quickly signal for everyone to quiet down. The police officer is right. According to the current situation, we are indeed trapped here by the night killer. At this time, we need to unite against a common enemy. Only then do we have a chance to survive. Damn it. Who do you think you are, spouting nonsense and acting all high and mighty? The butcher says, impatiently waving his hand. My name is Suzaku, and I'm a detective. I came here to track down the night killer and bring this most ruthless demon of H City to justice. Suzaku? Are you the renowned Detective Suzaku? Police officer looks at me in surprise, seemingly not expecting me to be so young. Everyone falls silent as I coldly observe the 6 people, each with their own thoughts. There were only 7 of us in this room. If the night killer didn't plan to kill remotely using traps, one of these 6 people must be his planted pawn. The final battle must have already quietly begun. Ever since his first appearance, the night killer has been a terrifying legend in H City. Many citizens even believe it's just an urban legend, not a real person. Rumored to be a fanatical fan of the movie Saw, he was once a doctor, but he preferred harming people over saving them. His favorite thing to do was to capture a few unlucky individuals and then methodically slaughter them one by one using strange methods. The police made several attempts to catch the night killer, but due to his cunning methods and concealed identity, they ended up seeking my help. I was captured and brought here following a certain habit of the night killer, risking my life to play this deadly game with him. I've checked both doors of the room. They can't be opened. I didn't bring any tools with me, so there's no way to open them, the thief said angrily, returning to the crowd. The police officer and the butcher were fiddling with their arms, unable to break open the iron doors by force, clearly indicating that the night killer would not leave such a simple loophole. I examined the stone sculpture on the wall. It was just a simple decoration that could easily be removed from its base by hand, but it felt bizarre to have such a sculpture in this rough room. Killer might be hiding among us. Everyone needs to protect themselves and not be exploited, I said, without the other double quote, putting down the sculpture and gesturing for everyone to show their personal belongings. The forensic scientist and the massage girl seemed somewhat reluctant. Let me search everyone, the police officer said, raising his hands and approaching the massage girl. All right, stop it. There's not much on me. I can take it out myself. The massage girl stepped back, covering her chest with her hands. Everyone began to show their personal items. The forensic scientist took off his glasses, gestured with them, and then put them back in his pocket. The police officer showed his gun. The butcher had a boning knife. The miner, dirty all over, had an empty plastic bottle. The massage girl took out a small bottle of makeup remover from her shirt pocket. The thief claimed he had nothing on him. I also took out my notebook and showed it to everyone. What's the plastic bottle for? The massage girl suddenly asked the miner curiously. It's a habit from when they go down into the mines carrying a bottle of water to quench their thirst, I answered for the shrinking miner. His plastic bottle could hold about 400 milliliters to 500 milliliters of water, but it was empty at the moment. Hey, do you smell something funky? The butcher asked, pinching his nose. Funky smell? Ha, that must be your sweat, the thief mocked, earning a fierce glare from the butcher. The room probably hasn't been used in a long time, so any strange smell wouldn't be surprising, the massage girl said, carefully putting the makeup remover back in her shirt pocket. Am I wrong to be suspicious that the plastic bottle could contain some gas that smells? This is something I thought about writing in my case. I currently list who is speaking before most dialogue. I think it makes it seem a little bit more like a script. It certainly would make it more like a script. Oh, Martin Vetter is here. Looking at their sagging pockets and thin clothes, it seemed there was no place left to hide anything. After everyone showed their belongings, I asked everyone to be cautious and carefully check the walls for any hidden mechanisms. The thief suddenly came over and whispered in my ears, "The forensic scientist is lying. I felt everyone's pockets. He definitely had a scalpel hidden on him." I was shocked and looked coldly at the forensic scientist, who was still groggily rubbing his head, not looking at all like a cold-blooded killer. After the thief spoke, he found a corner to sit down. I walked to the corner, looking for additional clues. Suddenly, the dim light above flickered and dimmed to nearly invisible brightness. The room plunged into darkness, rendering us unable to see anything. Everyone in the darkness kept quiet. After half a minute, the darkness persisted, and a series of sounds ensued. The sound of something falling, a scream from the thief, a grunt from the butcher, followed by a gunshot. As the gunshot rang out, a faint glow emanated from the end of the barrel. In this faint light, I saw a figure charging towards the thief, dancing with a surgical knife. After the gunshot, darkness returned, accompanied by the police officer's curses and the massage girl's wails. The dim light finally came back on. I estimated the time from the lights going out to coming back on. It was exactly 1 minute. I saw the police officer holding his gun, gasping for air, looking shocked. The thief lay motionless on the ground. Besides the shell casing, there was a thin, finger-thick syringe and the stone sculpture from the wall on the ground near him. I quickly examined the thief. He was dead. His nasal bone was broken. His face was purplish. There was a needle hole in his waist, a neat knife wound on his chest, and a finger-sized hole in his abdominal clothing, with the wound inside bleeding. The officer also came over to examine the body. He looked at the syringe on the ground and said, "The syringe is as thick as a finger. The barrel's completely empty. Only the needle has some liquid left. The needle's a bit bent, probably from using too much force when stabbing." "Mr. Police Officer, you observe very carefully," I commented. "Ha! It's my years of experience," the police officer replied, continuing, "I felt someone approaching, so I fired a shot into the air to control the situation. The murderer is not me, and he doesn't have a gunshot wound." Indeed, there was a bullet mark on the ceiling and the wall. Years of experience, I muttered to myself, feeling like I was on the verge of a breakthrough, but unable to grasp it fully. "The wound in his chest is not fatal, and the abdominal wound is hard to judge," the police officer said, about to check the thief's abdomen, but the forensic scientist interjected, "Don't touch the wound. He might have been poisoned. We don't know what kind of toxin it is. Touching it could be lethal." The police officer hesitated, then picked up the syringe from the ground and glared at the forensic scientist. "It wasn't me, it wasn't me," the forensic scientist shouted. "I have no idea where that syringe came from. I didn't bring any syringe." The forensic scientist, wailing, fell to his knees. I couldn't discern how much of his panic was genuine or feigned. "I heard the thief scream, then something sharp slashed at my hand. I just pushed him away," the butcher said hesitantly, touching his head. "I noticed bloodstains on him, and he had hidden his boning knife behind his back." The miner also mentioned being cut by a sharp object in the darkness and was currently bandaging his bleeding arm. I examined the thief's face. His broken nose seemed to be the result of being hit by the stone sculpture. Before the lights went out, everyone was moving, making it extremely difficult to grab the sculpture in the dark and then hit the thief with it. It was also impossible to track everyone's position in the dark. After the police officer fired the shot, I saw someone rushing toward the thief, presumably when the poison was injected. During the flash of the gunshot, I saw the thief waving a scalpel, which he had earlier taken from the forensic scientist. But where had the scalpel the thief was waving gone? The police officer hadn't found it on the thief's body, aside from the wound that couldn't be touched. "I don't know anything. It just suddenly went dark, then someone fired a gun. I was scared and couldn't help but scream," the massage girl cried, covering her face. Everyone was wearing thin clothes. The police officer and I conducted a thorough search of everyone, including each other, but still couldn't find the scalpel. Then a cold mechanical voice echoed in the matrix chamber. "Congratulations on passing the first trial. Continue moving forward, trialists." Is it a voice recording? coming from the light fixture? Judging from the modus operandi in this chamber, the killer is among us, I speculated. The door without the exit sign slowly opened, revealing a passage. Everyone, with their own thoughts and still unsettled, moved deeper into the chamber. We walked along the passage, which was not very long, and soon reached the end, revealing the next chamber. This room was symmetrically pentagonal, with white painted walls, no longer the rough, unfinished room. Each of the 5 walls had a tightly closed iron door. The room was spacious, and in the center stood a transparent cabinet containing a key. The police officer, with his gun drawn, approached the cabinet. Key's right here. Remember the keyhole on the iron door in the previous room? Get it out, and we can leave. He aimed his gun at the transparent cabinet. I was about to stop him when a mechanical voice sounded in the room. Welcome to the second trial. You just need to solve a simple weight puzzle to leave. Of course, if you try to break it by force, the key will automatically be destroyed. Enjoy solving the puzzle. The police officer awkwardly holstered his gun. I knew it wouldn't be that simple, Mr. Detective. What do we do now? Well, beside this cabinet, there's nothing else in the hall. Should we check the other rooms? The forensic scientist suggested after examining the cabinet and taking off his glasses. The butcher with his boning knife seemed to be contemplating a forceful attempt at the cabinet. Don't rush without a thorough investigation, the police officer scolded the butcher. Let's split into pairs and check each room. Mr. Police Officer and Mr. Miner, please wait in the hall, just in case, I suggested. I walked towards one of the rooms. It had no handle. Pushing it didn't budge it. One of the doors. Let me try, the butcher said, pushing hard, and the door opened. We entered what looked like a closed storage room. As soon as we entered, the door slowly closed, revealing an automatic door mechanism. The butcher tried to pry it open with his hands, but to no avail. He then pushed hard against the door, but it still didn't move. Finally, he started kicking the door. The police and the others are still outside. No need to worry about not getting out. Let's see what's in this room first, I said, inspecting the room. 2 meters from the iron door on the opposite wall, there was a gray square metal plate, and in the corner of the ceiling, there was a speaker. No one's going to comment on the fact that he says the police are right outside and we're all safe? Okay, there's a square metal plate, and in the corner of the ceiling, a speaker. I stepped on the metal plate, and the speaker made a ding sound with the liquid crystal display showing 60 kilograms. When I stepped off, the speaker went silent, and the display read 0 kilograms. 5 rooms, 5 weight sensors. The 6th person is needed to open the door. So do 5 people need to stand on the sensors simultaneously to open the cabinet in the hall? I muttered to myself. Ding! The butcher also stood on the sensor with the display showing 83 kilograms. As I was pondering, the door was opened from outside. The police officer stood at the door, looking annoyed at me. What's the matter with you? Why didn't you respond despite all the noise? I returned to the hall with the butcher. Oh, it's the regular police officer. Okay. Oh, is that what he's talking about? The police and the others. Oh, he's talking about it, the other friends. I thought he was talking about some other police officers. All right. So only 2 of them are in this room, and he's saying, okay, the police officer's in the other room. All right. The door's open from outside, and that's the police officer. What's the matter with you? Why didn't you respond to all the noise? I returned to the hall with the butcher. The butcher was knocking on the door just now. Didn't you hear it from outside? I asked the police officer and the miner. No, it's very quiet outside. Soundproof room. We went to the door where the forensic scientist and the massage girl had gone and opened it, finding them anxiously standing behind it. Okay, so all the rooms are soundproofed. I looked around this room, which was no different from the one I had entered. Then we checked the other 3 rooms, all arranged the same. I think I know how to get out, but first I need to verify my idea. Everyone needs to weigh themselves, I said, stepping onto the metal plate. Like before, the speaker made a ding sound, and the display showed my weight, 60 kilograms. Ding, the butcher stepped on the scale, and the display showed 83 kilograms. Ding, the forensic scientist stepped on, showing 65 kilograms. Ding, the police officer's weight register, displaying 72 kilograms. Ding, the miner's weight came up as 67 kilograms. Finally, the massage girl stepped on, but the speaker didn't make a ding sound. She glanced at me apprehensively when the display showing 49.5 kilograms. I signaled for her not to be nervous and added my notebook onto the scale. 49.6 kilograms, still no sound. Put some more things on it. Let's see how much is needed to meet the standard, I suggested. The forensic scientist put his glasses on the scale, resulting in a display of 49.63. The butcher placed his knife on it, displaying 49.88. How heavy does it have to be to meet the standard? The butcher scratched his forehead and gestured for the miner to add his belongings. The miner held on to his plastic bottle, saying, this is my old buddy. The butcher, dissatisfied, snatched the miner's plastic bottle and placed it on the scale, pushing the miner away with curses. They're about to die, and you still so particular? I put my livelihood's tool there, didn't I? Caught off guard, the miner fell to the ground. The speaker made a ding sound, and the display showed 50.08 kilograms. The miner got up, his expression pained, seemingly having fallen hard. A foul smell wafted through the air, and the forensic scientist covered his nose, distancing himself from the butcher and miner with disgust. Yeah, this plastic bottle has some gas in it, but and it's got a certain weight. 49.63 went up to 50.8. So 0.45. And now we know the weights of all the people and all of their personal items, I guess, including this very suspicious empty plastic jar that really has some kind of gas in it. Okay. They have the bad smell. Seeing this, the police officer scolded the butcher. Hey, stop causing trouble. You missed a weight. Oh, did I? 49.63. Butcher put his knife on 49.88. Oh, you're right. Okay. All right. So it's 12 plus 8, so 20. 0.2 kilograms was the plastic jar. Okay, thank you. 0.2 kilograms. Where was the note? When did the notebook get put on? All right. Escape Martin Vetter is summarizing the weights. Okay, good. Thank you. Stop causing trouble. I voiced my speculation. There are 5 rooms here. Each door can only be opened from the outside, closing automatically upon entry. Logically, once all 5 rooms reach 50 kilograms, we should get the key to the hall or the next clue to obtain the key. However, during this process, we have to stay separately in the rooms and the hall, which may involve unpredictable dangers. I paused, then continued. Now, we can choose someone to stay in the hall while the others stand on the weight sensors in the rooms. Anyone can stay in the hall, but anyone can stay in the hall. My gun stays with me. The police officer insisted, holding his gun. Right. I can't be without my knife, the butcher said, reattaching his boning knife. What about moving the thief's body over? The police officer suggested. No. No way. 2 voices rang out simultaneously. I don't want to be with a dead body, the massage girl exclaimed. We don't know the composition of the poison on the thief's body. Moving it recklessly might be lethal, the forensic scientist argued. Then I turned to the massage girl. Please stay in the hall. If the cabinet opens, you can help us with the door. The massage girl, recognizing the importance of her task, nodded heavily after a moment of hesitation. Everyone else entered the small rooms one by one, and I intentionally entered last. The room was silent. I stepped on the weight sensor, and after the ding sound, the speaker announced, 5 weight sensors meet the activation criteria starting now. Beep, beep, beep. During the beep, beep, beep of the startup, I silently counted seconds in my mind. At 120 seconds, the speaker repeated the mechanical voice. Congratulations on passing the second trial and obtaining the key. Was it that simple to clear the level? No. I furrowed my brows, a sense of unease welling up. The night killer, well, he wouldn't let us off so easily. Continuing to count, at 140 seconds, the massage girl opened the door, first to my room. I followed her out, suppressing my unease, and together we opened the doors of the police officer, the miner, and butcher. When we finally opened the forensic scientist's door, he lay in a pool of blood. I rushed with the police officer to check on the forensic scientist. He was dead, lying on the scale. Half of one white wall in the room was splattered with blood, a shocking sight. The forensic scientist's neck had a slash wound. The artery cut was fatal, and a blood-stained scalpel lay on the floor. When the thief died, everyone was thoroughly searched, and indeed no scalpel was found. So how did this scalpel appear here? The room reeked of blood, and upon seeing the forensic scientist's gruesome state, the massage girl couldn't hold back and ran to the corner to vomit, causing everyone else to leave the room in disgust. In the hall, the police officer scrutinized everyone with a stern gaze. Everyone shook their hands, indicating they couldn't leave the small rooms. Finally, his gaze settled on the massage girl. The massage girl, having finished vomiting and sitting weakly on the ground, saw the police officer's fierce eyes and frantically explained, It wasn't me. I didn't kill him. The police officer gravely asked, But you were the only one outside. Did you see anyone enter that room? The massage girl desperately shook her head, terrified. I was really outside the whole time. I didn't go in, nor did I see anyone else enter or leave his room. The massage girl swallowed hard. I was standing outside the hall. Look, this is the key. The cabinet opened after you entered the rooms. Could it be he committed suicide? The police officer snatched the key, still distrustful of the massage girl. At his insistence, she took off her outer clothing for inspection, revealing no bloodstains or smell on her skin. Among those present, only the miner and butcher had bloodstains, but those were from when the thief cut them in the previous matrix chamber. There were signs of a struggle at the scene, and given the massage girl's build, it was almost impossible for her to kill an adult man in a fight without getting any blood on her. When she took off her stockings for inspection, I noticed a small hole. The police officer, still uneasy, had the massage girl re-enter an empty room to weigh herself. The ding didn't sound, and the display showed 49.5 kilograms. I closed my eyes, deep in thought. I was the last to enter the room, and the hall's cabinet key required 5 people to stand on the weight sensor simultaneously for 2 minutes. If the massage girl had replaced someone, her weight plus other items that could exceed 5 kilograms were only the police officer's gun. No one else's belongings could reach the weight needed to unlock it. But was the police officer really the night killer? If he wanted to kill us, why not just use his gun instead of going through all this trouble? Unless it was the night killer's peculiar preference. Could there be any clues I missed? Both the miner and the butcher had bloodstains, possibly mixing the forensic scientist's blood with theirs. The butcher, being muscular and experienced in butchering, could have cleanly killed the forensic scientist. I cleared my throat and said to the butcher, "May I see your knife?" The butcher suddenly became evasive, and the police officer impatiently asked, "How did you kill him?" The butcher quickly waved his hand, explaining as he took out the boning knife hidden behind him. "It wasn't me. Blood from my trouser leg is the thief's. In the previous room, he cut me, and I reflexively chopped back. Then, not wanting to be misunderstood, I quietly wiped the blood off the knife with my trouser leg." He insisted that after entering the room, he only heard a few dings and nothing else. Pointing at the miner, the butcher said urgently, "A miner has blood on it. Maybe he's the killer." The miner, trembling in fear, pleading with a pained expression, "And not me. I was cut by the thief in the dark in the previous room. Plus, I was the second last to enter the room." The bloodstains on the miner's upper clothing weren't much. He had these stains when the thief was killed. It was now impossible to determine if the bloodstains included the forensic scientist's blood. Was it an illusion, or did the miner look much more relaxed than when he first came in, relieved that he wasn't the one who died? Can we leave now that we have the key?" the massage girl asked cautiously. "The killer is among us, and I won't let the night killer escape," I asserted firmly. Now only the police officer and I hadn't been checked for bloodstains. The police officer glanced at me, menacingly, raising his gun at everyone. Frightened, they raised their hands. He looked at me arrogantly, threatening, "I won't be interrogated. I'm a police officer here to capture that damned criminal, not to be humiliated." He turned out his pockets, showing nothing but a police badge. He took off his clothes, revealing no bloodstains. "I believe the forensic scientist was the first chamber's killer, who then committed suicide out of guilt," the police officer said, buttoning his shirt while still holding his gun. Watching his actions, I imagined a scene where he threatened the forensic scientist with a gun to commit suicide. But then there wouldn't have been any signs of a struggle. As the police officer searched me, I noticed the door from the first matrix chamber to the second was still open, And it would take about 30 seconds to run from the small rooms to the first matrix chamber. At the doorway, there were faint blood droplets, more than when we first entered, and likely not from dragging a body. A thunderous realization struck me. I had missed an important clue right under my nose. A lightning-like thought emerged from my mind. Your task: identify the killer hidden among us, deduce their method of murder. All right, now, there are more cards that we didn't look at. A whole bunch of background knowledge that I didn't notice, but then 2 other clue cards. And the rules said we're allowed to look at them. So I guess we should look at them. The one background knowledge was about the water in the human body. 70% body weight is water. Okay. Vomiting is a defense reflex of the body to expel harmful substances ingested into the stomach. Serves as a form of protection. Vomiting can be categorized into 4 main types based on the cause: reflex vomiting, central vomiting, vestibular disturbance vomiting, and neurogenic vomiting related to emotional factors. Interesting. We were told she went and vomited after seeing the dead body. All right. There are many lethal poisons that can cause rapid death through the circulatory system, and even mere skin contact can lead to poisoning. These poisons include cyanide, hydrogen cyanide, potassium cyanide, sodium cyanide, and strychnine and sodium hydroxide, and aconitum extract. Okay. A 2 milliliter hypodermic syringe has a diameter of 1 centimeter and a total length of 6 to 7 centimeters, which is slightly smaller than half a pencil in appearance. Okay. Surgical blades are extremely sharp, far surpassing the cutting tools used in daily life. They can easily cut any tissue except bone, and the surgical edge is very fine and neat. In fact, the cutting, piercing, and slicing abilities of surgical blades are much stronger than those of ordinary blades. Thanks to the use of elastic fibers, the technology of knitting stockings has greatly improved since before the 1980s. Complex jacquard patterns and fine lace, vivid stripes and fishnet patterns, and even metallic threads and dazzling fake diamonds can all be themed in the fashion statement of stockings. All right. The size of human pupils controls the amount of light entering the eye. In bright light, the pupils constrict, while in low light, they dilate. Generally, in the sudden disappearance of bright light, it takes several seconds for human pupils to adapt. Additionally, the rod cells in the retina are better at receiving light stimulation in darkness, and people who live in low night light environments for extended periods have more active rod cells. Okay. Disappearance of bright light needs time to adapt, but if you're used to living in low light, maybe you could adapt fast. All right, so that's just lots of background knowledge about the different weapons and her stockings and vomiting and darkness. And then we have 2 clue cards, which I guess we are allowed to read. Clue card 1 says, attention, running from the small room of Matrix Chamber 2 to Matrix Chamber 1 takes 30 seconds, at least 30 seconds. Activating the mechanism in the central cabinet of Matrix Chamber 2 requires everyone to stand on the weighing device simultaneously. All right, and there's a diagram. So what we're told is here's where they had the first encounter and the thief got killed. And then it said you passed the first test. So that's interesting. Then they came into this room. And the idea is there's 6 of them now. One has to stand on each scale. And then the other one can get the key if they're all standing on it. And we were just told that if you wanted to try to run in here, it would take you 30 seconds to get there and 30 seconds to get back. The massage girl stayed here. They all went into their rooms. They all triggered it. And then she is needed to let them all out of the room. I see. Okay, let's see. Martin is saying that I'm 3 days ahead. We'll wait with my ideas so you have a fair chance to catch up. And Jonathan is saying, you might have missed it, but Martin was playing this case on vacation and left the solution manual at home. So he has been waiting. He has been waiting and thinking about it for 3 days. And Martin, are you still on vacation? So you still have not read the solution? You are dependent on this live stream to give you the solution? Or did you already read the solution and you're just curious to see how we do? What we should do here, since we're about at the hour point, Martin has been working on it. We'll take a little break here and we'll come back in 8 minutes and review the details of the case. It feels odd. It feels like there's something wrong here. Lots of translation issues, but well, let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll discuss it. I'll see you in 8 minutes. All right, we're back. Martin Vetter has been working on this case for 3 days without the solution, with nothing else to do. So he's a little bit ahead of us, but he's going to give us a little bit of time to see what we can spot before he tells us about some of the things he's observed. Um, let's go over and skim the facts of the case and try to see what observations. Let's not try to solve it. Let's just try to make some important observations about clues. They all wake up and they're in a quadrilateral room, which were diagrammed here. Now I want you to notice that like this edge seems to match the length of these edges. Okay. They've got an exit with a keyhole and a door with no markings and a strange stone carving. So there's 7 of them in there. They all have one item on them. And the police officer has a gun. One guy has a bottle that he says is empty, but to me it clearly has some sort of bad smelling thing on it. That bad smelling thing could make you sick, but probably it's not. If I had to guess, like a poison would be a natural thing, but if it's leaking into the air, I'm not sure it can be a poison. But okay, anyway, they've all got their personal items. A knife, a scalpel that's super sharp, etc. All right. At some point, our detective realizes something that he thinks is a clue. Not that his clues have, not that when he says he figured something out, it's been much help for us. But okay. So there may be details in that we want to search through later, but essentially, they start out in this first room. He thinks the killer is among them, which it seems like it almost certainly is. Otherwise, we don't have much of a game here. But we do have a little statue. We've got a thief. Thief says, I didn't bring any of my items with me. I can't open the door. There is the sculpture, which looks out of place. The stone sculpture on the wall, simple decoration, could easily be removed from its base. But he thinks it's so weird to have it here. Okay. I think that's a clue there, but anyway. So we've got glasses, we've got gun, boning knife, empty bottle. She's got makeup remover. The thief says he's got nothing. We'll make a little mark on this since this is such a useful summary. The massage girl wants to know about the other guy's plastic bottle. He says it can contain water. He says how much, but it's empty, but there's a bad smell. I think there's gas in that plastic container, but I don't know what kind. Okay, the thief says he's got nothing. Not only does the thief says he has nothing, but he comes up and says the forensic scientist is lying. I felt everyone's pocket. He has a scalpel. Okay, and then the lights turn out. The flickers, it dims. It doesn't go completely off, but it dims very quickly. The thief found a corner to sit down. So remember, if someone closed their eyes ahead of this, they'd be more prepared to see. So you might be looking for someone who knew the lights were going to go out. Okay, so the light goes out. After half a minute, a series of sounds ensued. something falling, a scream from the thief, a grunt from the butcher, and then a gunshot. We have a little thing about dilating eyes. Takes several seconds to adapt. The miner, the miner is used to being in the dark. His eyes might adjust more quickly. People who live in low night light environments for extended periods have more active rod cells, so the miner would be able to see in the dark better. Okay, there's our first clue. Okay. After the gunshot goes off, there's a faint glow from the end of the barrel. In the light, I saw a figure charging towards the thief, dancing with the surgical knife. Then darkness comes back, so he just sees a flash, and he sees someone rushing towards the thief with the surgical knife. He estimates the time from the lights going out to coming back on exactly 1 minute. When the lights come back on, the thief is motionless. He sees someone's coming for the thief. Falling, scream from the thief, gunshot. Okay, he sees the thief lying motionless. There's a thin, finger-thick syringe and the stone sculpture on the ground near him. We examine him. He's dead. So he really is dead. His nasal bone is broken. Face is purplish. There's a needle hole in his waist, a neat knife wound on his chest, a finger-sized hole in his abdominal clothing, and the wound inside bleeding. So the police officer comes, he sees the syringe, he says it's as thick as a finger, and it's empty. So someone probably jammed it into him. And then we say, you observe very carefully. And he says, haha, it's my years of experience. I felt someone approaching, so I fired a shot into the air to control the situation. He says, the murder is not me. He doesn't have a gunshot wound. Indeed, there was a bullet mark on the ceiling and the wall. Now that's suspicious. First of all, why is there a bullet mark on the ceiling and the wall? And why are we so sure he doesn't have a gunshot wound? What's the finger-sized hole in his abdominal clothing? Could it have ricocheted? Could he have shot it and it ricocheted and hit him? It seems to be trying to suggest, to lure us into saying, well, he didn't shoot him, obviously, because we can see the bullet hole in the ceiling and only one gunshot went off, but maybe it ricocheted and hit him. Guess that would be a little hard to organize. And then he says, years of experience. I was on the verge of a breakthrough. So why does the comment about years of experience trigger him to think that's a breakthrough? Is that again talking about the bullet shooting? Like he's got years of experience about how to trick people? The wound in his chest is not fatal, and the abdominal wound is hard to judge. The forensic scientist interjected, don't touch that wound. He might have been poisoned. And we don't know what kind of toxin it is. Touching it could be lethal. Police officer picks up the syringe. Wasn't me. I have no idea where that syringe came from. I didn't bring any syringe. Probably the thief had a weapon that we don't know about. It could have been that syringe. Police officer has a gun. Scientist has glasses. Miner has plastic bottle. Butcher has boning knife. Massage girl has makeup remover. What do we have? Our notebook. All right, so maybe the syringe with the toxin actually belonged to the thief. And maybe this is a trick, like the forensic guy is showing his glasses as if those were his item, but maybe that doesn't count as his item. Maybe he does have a scalpel just like the thief said. Maybe the syringe belonged to the thief, and maybe it's trying to trick us into thinking that the thief that someone stabbed the thief with the needle and killed him, but maybe that was the thief's needle and it just didn't work. Like he slammed it on the stone and broke it. All right, so they go to look at this abdominal wound, which we don't know what it's made by. Seems like it fits what a bullet would look like, but they don't touch it because they're afraid it could be some toxin. The forensic scientist fell to his knees. That could be a trick, just so he could pick something up or something. Okay, let's hear what they say. I heard the thief scream. Something sharp slashed at my hand. Bloodstains. And the miner was also cut by a sharp object, bandaging his bleeding arm. The broken nose was a result of him being hit by the stone sculpture. And then he says, I couldn't really figure out what was going on. After the police officer fired the shot, someone rushed toward the thief, presumably when the poison was injected. During the flash of the gunshot, I saw the thief waving a scalpel, which he had earlier taken from the forensic scientist. Okay, he's stating this as fact. I saw the thief with the scalpel that he took from the scientist. I thought we heard... I saw a figure charging toward the thief, dancing with a surgical knife. That sounds like the other person had the surgical knife, but he seems to be saying now the thief had the surgical knife. Otherwise known as a scalpel. Where the scalpel the thief was waving gone. So they can't find the scalpel anymore. They can't find the scalpel. It's possible it got shoved into the body. Hidden on the body, hidden somewhere in someone's possession, but someone has access to the scalpel. So they search everyone, including each other, no scalpel. Okay, so no one's got the scalpel on them at this point. And then the voice says, you passed the first trial. What does it mean to pass the first trial? Okay, then they get open to the next room. They go in a passage, not very long. They go into the pentagonal room called Matrix Chamber 2. In the center is a cabinet with a key. The cop says he's going to shoot it, but we're about to stop him, but the voice stops him. You just need to solve a simple weight puzzle. Okay. Then they check the other rooms. Forensic scientist suggested after examining the cabinet, taking off his glasses. Split into pairs. Okay, they split into pairs. Let's think about this. They split into pairs. And the police officer and the miner stay in the hallway. So he goes with the butcher. It's got no handle. He can't push it, but the butcher can. Butcher pushes it and opens it. The door slowly closed, revealing an automatic door mechanism. I really think there's a chance that this room is moving. All right. So the door closed behind them, and then they try to get out, but they can't because it's locked. And he says, and our guy says, don't worry about it. They're out there. They'll let us out when we need to get out. They inspect the room. 2 meters from the iron door in the opposite wall is a square gray metal plate. In the corner of the ceiling is a speaker. He steps on the plate, and we learn that anything over 50 kilograms, it makes a ding sound. It shows the weight. So he says, okay, yeah, 5 rooms, 5 sensors, 1 person on the outside. Okay, it all opens automatically. Okay, then we get the weights of the people. When the door was open from the outside, so they can't open the doors. The other people finally open it, and they start to discuss that it's soundproof. Okay, then they go where the other pair has gone. They go where the forensic scientist and massage girl. They also said it was soundproof. They check all the rooms. They all look the same. They checked all 5 rooms. They all seemed the same. Okay. Then we get all of their weights. 60, 80, 65, 72. Various things. They're all over 50, but the girl isn't. The girl's 49.5, and she doesn't meet the threshold, so it doesn't ding. Then it uses that as a way of telling us the weights of everything else. The glasses, the knife, the bottle. He doesn't want to give his bottle away, but he takes it. Caught off guard, the miner fell to the ground. What's going on with that? That's weird. Miner got up, seemingly having fallen hard. A foul smell wafted through the area. That's coming from his bottle, but I don't know what that bottle is going to make people sick. It's like it's some little bit of a poison, but I think that can make people sick or knock you out, like the anesthetic. 5 rooms, each can only open the outside, closing automatically. He says, we have to stay separately in the rooms in the hall, which may involve unpredictable dangers because they don't know who to trust. You can choose someone to stay in the hall, the others staying on the weight sensors. Anyone can stay in the hall, says the cop, but I'm not giving my gun to anyone. And the butcher says, I'm not giving my knife to anyone. And they say, because someone's going to have to stand with the person who's under 50 kilograms, the lady. But they're all saying, I'm not going to give my item to combine with her. And then they don't want to be next to the dead body because they don't want to get poison on them. 2 voices ring out simultaneously. No way, and I don't want to be with the dead body. So someone else is objecting to using the dead body. Who is that? No way. Two people say no, and she also says no. Okay. So then he says, all right, the massage girl will be the girl that gets the key. Everyone else is over 50 kilograms. They'll go in their own rooms. She agrees. Now they all go in their own rooms. He goes in last. It's soundproof, so he doesn't hear anything. He steps on the weight sensor. The speaker says, 5 weight sensors meet activation criteria. So everyone is standing on their weight sensor, or at least there's 50 kilograms on each weight sensor. He counts how long it's beeping. He counts 2 minutes, and then it says, congratulations, it's been 2 minutes that the weights have been triggered, so it's going to open up. And he says, it can't have been that easy. Then he keeps counting. He says, at 140 seconds, the massage girl opened the door first to his room. So it says you've made it after 2 minutes. And then it takes another minute and a half before the massage girl opens his door. And he's the first one she opens. So what was she doing for that minute 20? Just trying to get the key out? He goes out with her. And then they open the other doors. The police officer, the miner, the butcher, and then finally the forensic scientist. But when they open the forensic scientist door, he's in a pile of blood. There's half of one white wall in the room was splattered with blood. His neck had a slash wound. The artery was fatal. And there's the scalpel that they lost from the last room. They say when the thief was dead, they searched and they didn't find a scalpel. So how could it have appeared here? When seeing the forensic scientist's gruesome state, she couldn't hold back and ran to the corner to vomit. Presumably from seeing the gruesome state or from some centrifugal thing. But if you were on some centrifugal thing that was rotating the rooms, you would feel it. All right. In the hall, he looks at everyone. The massage girl says, it wasn't me. I didn't kill it. I didn't kill him. You were the only one outside. Did you see anyone enter? And she says, no. I was outside. So she claims she's right here and sees no one enter the rooms. Could he have committed suicide? He checks her. She's got no blood. There were signs of a struggle. Given the small builds, surely she would have gotten some blood on her. She takes off her stockings and there's a small hole. Well, that's weird. Police officer was still unsure. He has her go into the room to weigh herself. I'm not sure why he wants that, but he does. Then he thinks about it. He says, I was the last to enter the room. I was the last to enter the room. Well, I just want to see, where did they enter the room again? Everyone entered the small rooms one by one, and I intentionally entered last. So he watches everyone go in. He's in last. if the massage girl had replaced someone, and it's basically saying she couldn't do it just by herself with one item because all of the items are less than 0.5 kilograms, only the cop's gun. But I don't understand why they're talking about this. Like, if the massage girl had replaced someone, her weight plus other items, I don't understand in what scenario she needs to replace someone. Isn't the theory just that she went into a room, she killed the guy and left him sitting on the scale? And then, I mean, if she's the mastermind, she's gone in the room, killed him, come back. Why does she have to stand? If she's being nefarious, how does she have to care about reaching 50 kilograms? That doesn't make any sense to me. Well, I mean, this is just a non sequitur. But then he says, but was the police officer the night killer? He wanted to kill us. Why not just use his gun? It doesn't seem very, like, yeah, he's a crazy person, so I don't see how that's dispositive. And he says, could there be any clues I missed? The miner and butcher had blood stains, but they could be mixed with the other stuff. Then they look at the knife. The butcher doesn't want to show his knife. He says, it's the thieves. He cut me. I chopped back, not wanting to be misunderstood. He insisted after entering the room, he had heard only a few dings, nothing else. Then he says to the miner, he's got blood on him too. The miner says, not me. I was cut by the thief in the dark. And they're explaining why the butcher and the miner have blood on them. And they're explaining why. I was cut by the thief. Plus, I was second last to enter the room. And he says, oh, it's true. He did have that stuff from before. And then the miner looks more relaxed. But then he hypothesizes that maybe he's just relaxed that he didn't die. And then we say, hey, the killer's here. I'm not letting any of you out. Police officer raises the gun at everyone. He says, I'm not going to be interrogated, whatever that means. I'm a police officer. And now he turns out his pockets, nothing but a police badge. So he has a second item on him. No blood stains. All right. And now the police guy says, hey, I think it's the forensic scientist who killed the thief. And then the thief committed suicide. And then we imagine the cop threatening the forensic scientist, making him commit suicide, but he says no, then there wouldn't have been a struggle. Okay. I noticed the door from the first matrix chamber to the second was still open. So he says he notices this door is still open. And he says it'd take you about 30 seconds to go from one of these rooms into here or back. And then he says at the doorway there were blood droplets more than when we first entered and not from dragging a body. So someone, it seems like, has gone into the matrix chamber and back out. And then he says, I suddenly realized something, a clue, but we don't know what clue he realized. So I'm just a little thrown off by all the weight stuff being obviously important, but not seeming like it's of any relevance. he was dead lying on the scale. That's the part that's throwing me. So, all right, before I read thoughts from the chat, let me just explain what I'm struggling with. If our guy is the last to go in to his room, they all go in their rooms, right? Okay, they all go in their rooms. The girl stays outside. And Suzaku is the last to go in. Oh, I wish I had one more. Okay, let me get these. Okay, so here's Suzaku. All right, so there's 6 of them. All right, and then there's the dead thief is in here. Okay, 7 total dead thief. Okay, so they all go in their rooms. And Suzaku goes into his room last. Presumably the doors are all shut. We know all of the scales trigger. So it opens, they get the key, and when they come out, they discover this guy is dead, laying on his scale. So the question is, who killed him? Now, the thing that I'm confused about is what's all this nonsense about the weights? Seems to me like everything we're being told, either she would have to kill him because she's the only one who can open the doors after everyone is locked in, or there's some other way into this room, like a secret door that the killer can walk through and kill someone. So let's say someone can get access to killing someone. The only thing that's important for weights is perhaps if we think someone could leave their weight triggered while they leave, if that's the thing. But no one has enough weight. No one has an object that's heavy enough on its own to trigger this thing. So I just don't understand. I mean, if you were the killer and you wanted to kill someone and you had a back door, then couldn't you just stand on the scale, you wait for the 2 minutes to trigger, and then you know that there's a minute and a half that she's going to spend opening this key, and so you rush through and kill the guy, and then come back to be let out. None of that requires any weight on anything. Okay, I can see the chest trying to get my attention, but let me just run through this first for a second. Now, if there's some complex device that's somehow bringing these rooms, moving this chamber, I mean, either there's trick doors in which anyone could have gotten in there and killed him and gotten back, or it's the girl has the only way to get into any room. And if the girl has any way to get in, then she has plenty of time to run here, get the hidden scalpel that she's found, bring it back. Then when they trigger the weight, She first goes into this room, cuts this guy's throat, but it says that she should have had blood on her, but didn't. Then she comes back. So if you don't believe there's a secret door, doesn't it have to be her? Or some other party? Or that this guy's not dead or something? Our detective checked him, so surely he is dead. Just feels like very weird situation. And is there something we're supposed to figure out about this killer? Like he wouldn't, like, does it make sense for the killer to be doing the killing, or does he want them to do their own killing? And does he want them to pass these tests? Like this whole first murder, it all seems irrelevant to any of it. So I'm obviously missing something. All right, let's check in with the chat. Let's see what I'm missing. Jonathan says, I think the idea is there's no time for anyone who made more than her to have left their platforms. I think the idea is there's no time for anyone who weighed more than her to have left their platforms. There is no 140 seconds followed by 120 more seconds. Okay, let me find that rule, because then that's clearly something I read wrong. That seems important. He times the wait trigger. He says at 120 seconds, it says, congratulations, you've passed. Continuing to count at 140 seconds, the massage girl opened the door. Okay, so that's great. That's the second time Jonathan has saved me from making a very misreading the instructions. Okay, so we're told that it takes 30 seconds just to go from one of these chambers to another if she was, well, from here to here. It doesn't tell us how long it gets here, but the point is that it takes 120 seconds of them standing on the weight, and then 20 seconds later, she's let them out of the rooms. So they finish weighing at 120. 20 seconds later, she sets them out of the rooms. But doesn't that make the simplest theory that she lets them sit on the weights and then she goes in and kills the guy? But I guess the contradiction there is that she has no blood on her, and we think that doesn't make sense. There would have been a struggle. She would have gotten blood on her. So if we think that eliminates her, then somehow someone else had to have a back door, but had to have been able to leave something with weight, unless she can keep from getting blood on her, or unless you believe there's some accomplice situation. You might want to double check who had been let out of the rooms. Was anyone out of the room before Suzaku? He was definitely the last one in. He was definitely the last one in. Let's see about who came out. Okay, at 140 seconds, the massage girl opened the door first to my room. Together, we opened the doors of the rest. So he's last in and first out. And then there's also the clue of seeing blood, which would be someone. All right, let's think about it for a second. Let's say that there's a back door that the killer knows how to use. And let's say it's this one connected to this chamber. So they all go in, and this person opens the door, drags the body right next door onto the weight, and then they sneak out and kill this guy. All the while, the 2 minute could be clicking through, right? So let's say the killer knows about the back doors to here and to here. In fact, he wouldn't have to drag the body. He can drag the stone slab if it's heavy enough. So the killer goes out. He brings something of 50 kilograms, or maybe in the passageway, there's a 50-kilogram weight for all we know. So he puts it on his weight. And then while the clock is kicking down to 2 minutes, that gives him time. His object is still on here. Then while that's happening, he goes and kills this guy and leaves his body on it and goes through the back door. Back here, he could do that in a minute and a minute. He puts the... He has to stand on this. I guess that's a bit of a problem. He has to stand on the weight. He stands on the weight until the 2 minutes are done. Ding, 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 ding. You've passed the test. Now he's got 30 seconds to throw this guy in here and get back in here. All right. They looked for secret panels while in the first chamber. Yeah, maybe they looked for secret panels in the first chamber, but have they searched every chamber? And Martin says we have more clues in the first sequence. Yeah, all right. So lights go out. The miner could see in the dark. He sees someone heading towards the thief with the scalpel. I still find that very confusing where he says one time he sees the thief with the scalpel and then without it. Then the gunshot. Gunshot is in the wall and the ceiling. I wonder if the miner's plastic bottle full of something could be used as a trick. Don't touch the wound. He could have been poisoned. They pick up the syringe. I don't know where the syringe came from. So they can't find the scalpel. Scalpel could have gotten put into the body. Not sure how that helps you though. I guess somehow you have to get hold of the scalpel to kill this guy. So here's another option, right? Like in the room, there's a gray square, scale, but there's also a speaker. I wonder if you could detach the speaker and use that as a weight. But all of that, the only thing that that does is let you leave the room through some secret trap door. And if there's a secret trap door, you could have a weight back there. That's why I don't. That's why I don't. All right, let's see. Let's see if the chat has figured it out. I could see hiding the syringe in the gun if it fit. You could certainly fire the syringe with the gun. I like that idea. Martin says, I think the syringe was shot by the gun. That's why the needle is bent and it is applied with such force. Yeah, I like that idea a lot. I think that's right. But what does that get you? I guess it gets you that you think the cop is a bad guy. I think I like this idea that the I like the idea of shooting the scalpel with the gun. Martin says, I think they're all the bad guys. And Jonathan says, that makes sense since the intro referred to an organization. I like that idea, but then what is there to figure out? What is there to figure out? It says, identify the killer and deduce their method of murder. On what basis are we going to conclude that Martin says, then our job would be to figure out how they did it. What if the fair game is that Martin pointed out the massage girl weighed the same, but after she threw up? That's a pretty clever observation. That is a pretty clever observation. Let me see that. That's pretty cute. So they find the struggle. She takes off her stocking. They notice a hole, which I don't know what that's about. The police officer is suspicious, so he has her go back in. She weighs 49.5. Could there be clues she missed? If the massage girl had replaced someone, her weight plus the other items that could exceed 5 kilograms are only the police officer's gun. And there she is, 49.5. I really like this clever observation about if she was throwing up, then she should be losing weight. I think that's a great observation. I think that's a very clever observation. She ran to the corner to vomit, and then everyone else left in disgust. So she's alone with the vomit. Having finished vomiting and sitting weakly on the ground, you were the only one outside. What did you see? I was really outside the whole time. I didn't go in, nor did I see anyone enter or leave his room. I was standing outside the hall. Look, this is the key. So let's say that it is only the girl. Or what if she did, what if she did have something that weighed enough to make her 50 kilograms, but she's hidden it? When do they So they check her after she vomits. But she doesn't have anything on her. But she is left alone in there. And we never weigh the thief, right? So it's possible the thief had something on him that weighed enough that if she got it, it would get her above 50 kilograms. Some liquid she drinks. But then let's assume that it's only the one person. It's only the woman. Then what's our theory? That she somehow killed the person without leaving any blood on her. But then she doesn't need the weight. Then she doesn't need any weight if she's the killer. That's what's so bizarre. Like, if she's the killer, she can just go into the room, kill him, and come out and just leave his body on there. She doesn't need to do anything. If she's the killer, then the only mystery would be, why doesn't she have blood on her? What about if she ran? Everyone goes in their room, right? And then we know there's 2 minutes. So she does have enough time to go get his shirt and the scalpel from the wound, come back, go in, kill him, run out. So that's 30 seconds, 1 minute, 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes. So what if what happens is the only thing we have to explain is not weight, but how she avoided getting blood on her, and assuming the makeup remover doesn't get rid of blood, then is the answer that she ran in here after everyone got in the rooms and the guy is standing on his scale. She runs in here, she grabs the scalpel and clothing, she comes back, she goes in, she kills him, she comes out, she goes back, she drops off the clothing, and then she comes back here. I think the idea is she had a partner. She adds extra weight, goes into the room, replaces partner with herself. Partner goes into the room, overpowers, then goes back and swaps with the girl again. I just don't, and Martin agrees that she has a partner. I just don't understand why you need a partner. Because you don't want to get blood on her? I say there's a struggle. She's clear with no blood. Okay, so Your theory is she has a partner, and then, well, I like the meta reasoning, like the weight is important if she had to take someone's place. So you're saying the theory is that she has a partner, she opens up the partner's door, she stands on the scale, for example, with the cop's gun. The cop can go kill the guy, has some blood on him, and then has time to come back and they swap again. Okay. So the cop's gun would do it, but the cop has no blood on him. So we're thinking it has to be one of the others that have blood. So maybe the key is that it's either the miner or the forensic science or the butcher who have blood. Both the miner and butcher had blood stains, possibly mixing the forensic scientist's blood with theirs. Stop. Hold on a second. Both the miner and butcher. I see. Okay, right. The forensic guys, the guy's dead. Okay, so if we're saying that the person would have to have blood on him, then we're saying that it has to be one of those two. But we're saying that the miner and the butcher, their items would not be heavy enough. So we still would have a puzzle to solve about the weight. Now, the miner, what if they've taken blood from him? That's what they've, what if they've taken blood from him into the container? That still wouldn't work. It's a fun idea, though, that you've put blood in the miner's container. She certainly could have gotten blood from the first victim if she had time to get it. Okay. The miner has a bottle which she could give her to collect blood to drink. Miner gives her the bottle. She runs to the room to drink the blood. She runs back. Then she swaps places. Then they swap again. Does she have time? So then the theory is, I like the idea of the bottle being filled with blood. So then everyone gets in their room. Then she opens this door, gets the bottle, 30 seconds, and back in 1 minute with blood-filled bottle that weighs enough to fix her weight. So at the 1 minute mark, she goes back in. She stands on the scale of the miner. Well, he has a minute now, a little over a minute, to go in, kill the guy, come back, and having drunk the blood, comes back and then gets sick and throws up the blood, which is weighing 5 kilograms. And then they're safe. Were we told, I mean, that's a fairly interesting idea. Were we told the size of the bottle? Could we calculate how much weight could be in that bottle? Oh, yes, we are. Plastic bottle could hold 400 to 500 milliliters of water. So then the question is 500 milliliters of water is 500 milliliters of water match 500 milliliters of blood match the weight difference? It's not an unreasonable theory. Internet says 500 milliliters of water is 0.5 kilograms, which is exactly what we want. And she could drink more than 500 milliliters. It's true. What's in the plastic bottle? He says it's empty. Is it possible, before we go to the whole drinking blood thing, is it possible? I want to see when they weigh her and when they weigh the bottle. Because is it possible that she gets on the scale, they weigh her, then she drinks this invisible liquid in the plastic bottle, and then they weigh the bottle and it's now really empty, and she has now overweight even though they don't realize it? Let me just see when they measure her weight and when they measure the bottle. Everyone weighs themselves. Okay, they weigh, and she weighs 49.5. Okay. So she weighs 49.5. Not enough. Put some things on it. I guess she's still standing on it when they put the glasses, notebook, knife, held onto his bottle. This is my old buddy. They snatch it and they put it on the scale. Okay. So there goes that theory. Still, I wonder if this is my old buddy. Something seems suspicious. Foul smell. I wonder if the. I wonder if it's supposed to be. I don't know. Okay. Maybe they knock out the guy with gas before killing him and fake the struggle afterwards. Filled the bottle with blood and threw it on the wall. The thing is, this comment about they're using the blood to collect it to make it look like struggle. I suppose that would be another way they could team up. But if you're going to have two people teaming up, it just seems like. Yeah, I mean, if they're two teaming up, then it feels like we have lots of possibilities, right? So she goes and unlocks the miner's room. He gives her the plastic bottle full of poison. Then she runs in here. She squeezes the poison on the guy who passes out dead. She cuts him with the scalpel that she's hidden in her stocking, collects the blood, sprays it on the wall, and then comes back in here. I guess I like that a little better. It still has to have her be. It still has to have her be partners with the miner, but it doesn't explain the vomit. And the vomit should have changed her weight. So I really like the idea that she's ingested something. I think that's the only solid clue. The only really good solid clue is that the woman has to be involved because she's vomited up, and we know the plastic jug could contain the weight difference. So I do think it makes sense that she opens up the door, she takes the plastic container, she fills it up with blood, she comes back, she comes back in his room where she weighs more now. He can go. She gives him the scalpel. He goes and kills this guy. And then he comes back and they swap again. And here she is, heavier with the blood from this person's body. Oh, Jonathan has a really good point. If she lets her partner out of a room and takes his place, then the door would be shut. That's a really good point. Boy, that's a really good point. Okay, now we've got an interesting case. Okay, I think Jonathan has identified the best dilemma that we have, which is that there cannot be people in all the rooms. They would get locked in. That is a great point. That is a great point. Okay, so what if she goes and unlocks the miner's room? He gives her the bottle. She runs here. She fills up the bottle. She comes with blood. She drinks it. Now she's got the blood in her stomach and the bottle and the scalpel, which she's stolen and put in her stockings. She opens the door. She puts the empty bottle in the doorway to keep the door from closing. She stands on the weight. She's now heavy enough because she's got blood in her stomach. He goes out. He picks up the bottle that's propping the door open. He comes here with the scalpel and the bottle. He leaves the bottle in the doorway again. Well, he comes in here, kills this guy, leaves his body still on here. Comes out, picks up the bottle that's propping up the door. Comes here, does the same trick, leaves the bottle to prop open the door, comes in, they swap. She takes the bottle and kicks it into him on her way back out here. Jonathan says, I like this train of thought because it explains why she had to drink the bottle and not just hold on to it. This also has her being the killer with the scalpel or the miner. Does it make sense that she is the person with the scalpel? Thief is dead. They find the syringe. So it makes sense that the scalpel is shoved into the victim. So I think what if the full story, there's could be poison. Okay, so here's the story now. In the first room, the victim is killed, maybe with the poison in the bottle, and the scalpel is shoved into the body. So they know he's not been poisoned with the syringe, he's been poisoned with this gas. And so the wound of the syringe, the wound is holding the scalpel. So then they all go into the other room. The dead body is here with a scalpel hidden in the body. And the bottle now empty of poison. Then she puts everyone in their room. She goes into this guy's room, gets the bottle. He throws her the bottle. Then she heads off. 30 seconds. She drinks the blood. She doesn't really need the bottle, does she, though? She just needs anything that could prop open the door. But okay, let's assume it's the bottle. She goes in here, 30 seconds. She gets the scalpel out of the wound. She knows it's not toxic because she's involved. She drinks a bottle's worth of blood, grabs the scalpel, comes back in here after what? It's now been a minute that they've been standing on things. She opens the door. She drops the bottle in the doorway while she gets on the scale, hands him the scalpel from the body and the bottle. She now weighs enough to keep the weight with all the blood in her. He goes in, he opens the door and puts the bottle to block the door from closing. He's got the scalpel. He kills the guy with the scalpel, drops the scalpel in there, comes back up, pulling the bottle as he comes. It's now been almost 2 minutes. He gets back in here, puts the bottle in the doorway, lets her out. She kicks the bottle to him on her way out, and here she is. And the 2 minutes have passed, and she unlocks the key. She's dropped some drips of blood while she was coming out of here with the blood in her mouth. She's come in here, and now when they go look at the body, she throws up, and now she's back to her original weight. I guess you're right. She has her own item she could use to prop open the door. But she needs to know how much blood to drink. That's why she needs that bottle. Let's see. Scientist dies from gas. They stage the death. Miner hits the thief with sculpture. Thief begins to defend himself with scalpel, hitting the miner and butcher. Butcher then defends himself, hitting the thief with the knife. Police officer fires gun with syringe. I don't know why he. I like the. It does make sense that he would fire the gun with the syringe, but oh, that seems like there's no point to it. DJ Moneycat says 15 milliliters is a lot of blood. The thief doesn't have an unlimited geyser of blood pouring out. To me, the fact that she vomits and weighs this exactly the same is definitive proof that she has consumed a bottle's worth of liquid and probably blood. The only question I have is if there was a way for her to do it without having an accomplice. What about this? She drinks the stomach contents? Yikes. I like this theory about trading off the bottle, but if you wanted to not have an accomplice, what if it looks like this? They don't want to touch the toxin because they're afraid they could get poisoned, right? But what if she knows? What if she knows it's not toxic to touch because she was the one who stuck him with the syringe? I guess they've already picked up the syringe. Do they leave the syringe with the body? Because what if it looks like this? What if she puts everyone in their room? She runs back. She gets the syringe. I was going to have her stick this guy with the needle and to kill him and then cut his throat. But then she wouldn't need to drink any blood. Identify the killer and deduce their method of murder. Really sounds like they're saying you only have one killer. But the only problem with her being the sole killer is, well, there's two problems now. As Jonathan pointed out, you'd have to get in and prop the door open, but she could use her makeup remover bottle to prop the door open. But then you'd have to say, why doesn't she get blood on herself? What if, but to me, the biggest, most interesting clue is that she weighs the same after the vomit. To me, that is the most interesting clue that must be made use of. And that means she had to drink something that weighed quite a lot. And there was only one thing to drink, and that's the blood. But then the only reason she would need to drink blood is if she was swapping for someone. Otherwise, she doesn't need to reach 50 kilograms. And the only reason we have to have her swapping is because she's too frail to do it. Or, of course, if there's any objects in these rooms, then it's all over. DJ make. What if the makeup remover has water? It doesn't matter. It's not, doesn't weigh enough. They've weighed it. It doesn't weigh enough. She was alone with the forensic scientist, is that right? The forensic scientist and the massage girl, finding them anxiously standing behind it. Yeah, I mean, I suppose she could have given him some poison that took long enough to trigger. So the only real challenge to me is if we were trying to find a way that it could just be one culprit. I think you can find ways that it's one culprit, but those ways don't require her to be drinking blood. I mean, there's a lot of different formalisms. Like I think if it was just her, you could imagine her going here. Instead of drinking blood to weigh more, she gets his shirt or something. She comes in, she kills him with the scalpel, and takes off the shirt that gets blood and brings it back, and then goes here. So, but the clue about her weighing the same after blood, which could be a mistake in the game, but I don't think so, suggests she must have had the blood. And if she was having the blood, it means she was doing it to weigh more, to stand on the scale for someone. But that must mean she has an accomplice. And propping open the door, it's a little awkward. It's a little awkward. Is there a world where the forensic scientist is her partner and she kills him? She goes in, she says, "Hey, we're working together on this." Bloop, kills him. That's even a little too easy. Scalpel is in the wound. That's the only explanation for it being hidden. Because they search her. Or it's in her stockings and they don't search her sufficiently. All right, let's take a break. I think I'm just about ready to read the solution, but if people have more, want to talk about it more, we'll spend some time listening to the chat. I think we're almost ready to read the solution. Is it going to satisfy us? Is it going to make us feel like we missed something, or are we going to be angry? I'll see you in 8 minutes. We'll find out. All right, let's see what the chat has come up with. I'm going to lean more into my idea that maybe she filled the bottle with stomach contents and drank those. Maybe she had sulfur gas in the bottle, hoping people would notice it smelled bad. Later, when it exposed, it would smell the same. No need for a bottle. She could just eat it. Um, I'm a little bit torn between the idea that it's two of them working together. That seems like it's going to be the right answer to me. I'm trying to think if they were all working together, then I'm not sure. Like, you could imagine a world where this night killer organization is just like they're all in on it and they just try to decide who to kill each time. But I'm not sure how different that is. Like, in either case, she lets someone out, she gets the blood, she drinks it, she comes back. I do like the idea that it has to be the miner and his bottle, because that's how she knows how much blood to drink. The only other interesting thing is I'm going to suggest that that they purposely killed the thief so that they could hide the murder weapon in his body. What if they all have insurance policies on each other? That is a very intriguing idea. It's a very intriguing idea that they're all playing that same game. So they're all in on it, trying to kill each other and be the last one standing. On the other hand, that doesn't really help us solve this. I mean, even if you say they're all in on it, we still, once we allow two of them to be in on it, we've got our solution. No, that's not true. If she was in on it with the cop, she could just come in, take his gun, stand on it. The cop could go put her makeup in the thing. But the fact that she weighs 5 kilograms more seems like it has to be the miner. But I don't know. Then if the miner's in on it, shouldn't he have picked an item that weighed more? Maybe that's a better way to think about it. Maybe the way to think about it is that this guy is that the miner is the killer, and that she is told that she must do these things or she'll be the next one to die. So that it's wrong to think of them both as killers, both as the night killer. Maybe just one of them is the night killer. But then surely when they came out, she would say, hey, he's the night killer. All right, I'm going to stick with my theory that I don't love, but that it's the two of them working together. She's drank the blood. She's swapped positions because she can't be the one to kill this guy because he'll fight her. And so he goes and gets the scalpel that they've hidden in the body. She goes and gets the scalpel that they've hidden in the body and fills his blood, drinks it, comes back. makes herself throw up just in case it's needed, or just throws up because of the blood. All right. Any other theory? Anyone else want to get some theories before we read the solution here? Martin had to leave after 3 days. He didn't get to see the solution, but he'll watch it afterwards. All right. Was the thief ever involved with them? No, I think the thief. Who does the thief say he still stole the scalpel from? Who does the thief say had the scalpel? The forensic scientist is lying. He had a scalpel. I'm trying to think of a more sophisticated system where we are told that there's something with the peculiar order, right? So it's kind of like, it is interesting that the person with the scalpel got killed second and the person who might have stole it from him got killed first. But what I think happened is that the girl and the miner have killed the thief specifically to hide the scalpel in his body. Because if they got caught with it, then if she was found with the scalpel and then this guy got killed by the scalpel, then they'd know it was her and vice versa. So I think they've all got their own murder weapon. But the trick is they have to use someone else's murder weapon. Is that like the key here? They all have a murder weapon and you're not allowed to use your murder weapon? That's an interesting idea, isn't it? That here's a club where you're each given a weapon, but you're not allowed to use that weapon. You're not allowed to use your weapon to kill. That's a fun idea that explains why they killed the thief with the forensic guy's scalpel. Stick it in his body. They can't use the poison in the bottle to kill. They have to use the scalpel to kill. All right. Anyone else want to get anything on record? I think I've close as best as I can. Feels like there's too many possible things, but I'm very curious. This is either going to be the first case all over again with the person who reversed going 100 miles an hour in the tunnel, or it's going to be something that we've missed. All right, Jonathan is signing up for the massage girl and the miner as the main team, which is what I'm also going with. Clearly, there's some details that don't quite make sense, though. I'm very open to some system where they're all in this club and something decides what person is targeted next. But It still doesn't quite. If they could all work together, it would be too easy. Thief had lied about scalpel belonging to the forensic man. That's certainly possible. All right. You ready, Jonathan? And anyone else who's here? Somehow we've got 16 people in the chat, including Sandy Pujari and Thorpe. All right, here we go. Is everyone on the record or needs to get on the record? Does anyone want to make an alternate theory before I read this? I mean, it would do you good. It would be healthy for you to get your theory out, because you can't. The worst feeling is when you're like, could it be this? And you don't say anything, and then that's what it is. And then you got to pretend, not pretend, but then you got to convince everyone, I thought about that, but I didn't say anything. Martin managed to not go on the record. Who was the person in the chat that noticed she was the same weight after she vomited? Because that's either going to be the clue that solved this whole thing, or if that's not mentioned in the solution, then I'm really going to have a problem. Jonathan says that was Martin. I guess that's what the 3 days got him. All right. Well, we can talk about the whole thing after we solve it. Here we go. Deep breath. Matrix, Truth and Ending, page 19 to 24. So it's a long ending. Here we go. DJ Moneycut predicts a backwards race car. The massage girl and the miner are the killers. We did it. The game is redeemed. Now, I still find that fascinating that we managed to settle on the two of them. All right, let's learn the details. This is exciting. The massage girl hid a finger-sized syringe in her black stockings. As the lights went out, she used the syringe to extract poison from the makeup remover bottle. The miner, in the darkness, took down the stone sculpture to attack the thief. The thief, in pain, shouted and swung the scalpel he had stolen from the coroner, cutting the butcher and getting slashed by the butcher in return. The massage girl, following the scream, at the same time the police officer fired his gun, stabbed the thief with the needle. Due to the darkness, the needle bent, but the poison successfully entered the thief's body. Then she pretended to wail. The miner, used to working in dim conditions, which we noticed, underground quickly confronted the thief, making him scream. That was a signal for the massage therapist to join in and use the poisoned needle against the thief. That's needlessly convoluted. After the thief collapsed from poisoning, the miner, with an exceptional night vision, took the scalpel, cut himself to set up for the next chamber's crime, then stabbed the thief in the abdomen with the scalpel, hiding it inside the thief's body. We were right about that. Before entering the Matrix chamber, the miner drank a lot of water. Say what now? Say what? In the mechanism room of the second Matrix chamber, he urinated. Oh, before he came into the whole thing. Before he came into the whole system. Before he was captured. Before he pretended to be captured, he drank water. Okay. In the mechanism room of the second Matrix, he urinated about 500 milliliters into the empty plastic bottle. then took off his clothes and the bottle to place on the weight sensor. Once all rooms' weight sensors were activated, the massage girl opened the miner's room, replaced him on the sensor. The weight of the massage girl, combined with the things the miner left on the scale, exceeded 50 kilograms. After leaving the small room, the miner ran to the first chamber, retrieved the scalpel, leaving droplets. Meanwhile, the massage girl, enduring the revulsion, drank the urine in the bottle to cover up the evidence. The miner with the scalpel returned to the second matrix chamber, killed the coroner, that's the forensic guy, dropped the weapon, hurried back. The entire process took 2 minutes. After returning to his room, the weight mechanism completed. The massage girl left to take the key in the hall, open the room. At that time, the miner cleaned the blood stains from the murder off his clothes and dressed. After witnessing the coroner's death, the massage girl couldn't bear it anymore and vomited the ingested urine in the corner of the room, so she still showed 49.5. The miner, needing to urinate himself frequently, sometimes had to discreetly relieve himself, causing the occasional foul smell. His relaxed demeanor was due to this relief. The miner often kept his head down to avoid pupil constriction from light exposure. With his occupation, he was better adapted to the dark. Only he could accurately remove the stone sculpture in the dark and hit the thief's nose. Only he could find and use the scalpel. I don't know about that. As long as we kill you, our relatives will live, the miner said insidiously. Before dying, can you tell me who the night killer really is? We don't know, only that his contact code is Mr. M. M for murder. Mr. Murder. Is this the real code name of the Dark Knight Killer? Suzaku muttered to himself. Facing the massage girl and miner, ready to pounce, he squatted down. Just as they thought Suzaku was about to surrender, he moved. He pulled a small paper packet from his shoe's secret compartment filled with red powder. He tore open the packet, threw the powder into the eyes of the massage girl and miner. They clutched their eyes in pain, screaming. Okay. Let me see if I understand this part. So the point is that when he got in, he could urinate extra weight into the bottle. So we were essentially right about the two of them. The game didn't seem to care about holding open the doors, which seems like a flaw that we've thought of that they didn't. But that's okay. So the only real, when we did figure out hiding the scalpel in the abdomen, and we did spot that the miner could see in the dark. The only thing that's different is in our case, she went and drank the blood to give her extra weight. In the story here, it was even easier for her because he just left the extra weight on the scale for her, and then he does the rest. It's a little odd, but we should have considered that possibility. That because I'm sure that I'm not the only one who thought about one person giving weight to another, but it didn't occur to me that that could be done from urination, but that's not a crazy idea. And I think that's what he was saying about that bottle. Like that bottle was his pee bottle that he always used for that. I do think it's a little unfair to have two killers here, though, because it feels like if you had two killers, there would have been lots of different ways you could really pull this off. But, well, not terrible. Did it explain them not getting locked in? No, it missed that whole thing. It missed the whole thing about the not getting locked in. But we had an explanation for that, that they just used something to prop open the doors. I guess it would have been better if they structured the case. In our scenario, she goes... She gets the bottle. She retrieves the scalpel and drinks the blood, then comes back, and then he kills. It would have been nice if, and I think when our reconstruction, there was enough time for all that, but it would have been nice if maybe there wasn't enough time for that. This would have been a better puzzle if we were told. It would almost be a better puzzle if the game said, hey, Suzaku has figured out it's these two. Now, how could they have done it? And there isn't enough time for her to go in here. Now, that would have been a more focused puzzle that would have plagued us, right? Like, what if the game had said, look, Suzaku has figured out these two worked together to do it. And there wasn't enough time for her to go here and drink the blood. I mean, someone did say in the chat, hey, it's not like there's an unlimited amount of blood to get from the body. And maybe it's not reasonable. I guess it's much more reasonable for her to drink a bottle of urine than it is for her to drink a bottle of blood. So their official solution is a little more realistic than ours. And also easier to do in the time. He goes to the bathroom, leaves his bottle on the scale. She comes in, she stands on the scale. He kills. He comes back. They swap again, and it's all over. So we got the answer right, but we missed a little. We missed a little, and our explanation is less reasonable than the official one. So I guess that's credit to the game. Yeah, that's credit to the game, and if we had thought about it, if someone had suggested it to us, we would have realized that was a better solution. It's not just in hindsight that the game has a better solution. I think we would have acknowledged that that was a better solution. Still, I don't like the fact that it feels like you could have come up with other solutions. If I told you, hey, trust me, it's not the minor who's the partner, you could come up with other solutions. If I told you it was the cop, then you just say, okay, she walked into the cop's room, she stood on the scale with the gun, he went and killed her. Like, it could have been the cop. Still not bad. Not great, not great, but certainly a lot better than the 180-degree reversed car. And a lot better than the train. So if you were to rank the cases, you'd say that the first Paris tunnel was the worst, followed by the second half of the missing quarter, which was pretty. Am I remembering that right? The second half, followed by the first, and then the first half of this one was the best. I'm remembering correctly, and then this one is sort of in the middle or next. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess there's 2 in each. Okay, so the 180-degree car was the worst. Then comes the walk off the train. Then comes part 2 of this, the modern day death. Then comes the cold case, and then comes this one. I feel like the not addressing the locked room seems like a decent sized oversight. Yes, because that was a very good constraint that you realized should be solved. All right, let's take a 3-minute break and then come back and talk about whether we would recommend this to a group, whether we would play more cases of this type. I'll see you in 3 minutes. We'll figure it out. We're back for some final thoughts about the Suzaku Detective Series. I'm curious. I think the bottom line question here has to be, would we recommend this? Would we recommend this game? I believe I paid about $20 on Amazon for it. And there are a couple other games that look like they're by the same company, but not in this same format. But there may, like, there's a 2-player only game or something like that. Let me see what the chat thinks. I find it interesting. This seemed to be inspired by Saw. They managed to get us into a pretty gross headspace while not really writing that graphically. DJ Moneycut says, no recommendation from me. Only 2 out of 5 cases I would call good. Fun, but only for serious mystery enthusiasts. Jonathan says, overall, I would give it a light recommendation for those who've already played most of the other narrative detective games. Tony says, I really like the Saw-inspired setup in this part. Overall, I enjoyed the narrative, would enjoy more of Suzaku. Jonathan says, I think the second case booklet will appeal to the most people, even if part 2 isn't too open. I think people would like it better than case 3. Case 3 might be too gross for most. Yeah, this is a tricky one for me. I guess where I come down is this. Structurally, I think this is a great system. Let's talk about all the ways in which structurally this is a great system. More than good, a great system structurally. First of all, you get a box with multiple cases that are nominally connected. Each case is actually, for most of them, split into multiple little mini connected cases. There's something enjoyable about that. The use of a straightforward story that you read with some additional cards that have diagrams on them or other details that make it easy for you to lay them out and reason about them and share them. That's a very good combination. The sort of Sherlock Holmes Watson storytelling system where we've got our detective who knows everything and then a little sidekick who works with them is a tried and true storytelling mechanic. The actual detective here is not very interesting, so that's a bit of a miss. But as a general structural vehicle for having these short little story-based cases, I think it's what I want. I want the experiences like this, where we read a story and then we're trying to figure out what did we read that makes, how do we tell a story? How do we fill in the pieces that make sense of it? And I do think that for all the complaining we're doing, we did get most of the answers right. Now, I would say there's one area here that feels like a huge missed opportunity. Missed opportunity and almost a little bit of a revelation for me. And that is, something happens in each of these cases. Does anyone know what I'm going to talk about? What element here that did we encounter that to me was almost like a storytelling revelation? As someone who's been writing mystery cases now for a little bit, I'm learning about storytelling techniques and why some work and little tricks and ideas. And there's a whole class of those that I feel like are unintuitive and little mini epiphanies because they do work and you might not think they should work. You might on paper say, don't do that, but in fact, they work. And it's like in that category of foreshadowing, where you're like, you're giving away what's going to happen. Or when the book starts out and says, this was the case that I remember the most, you're like, oh, the guy's going to live. You've given away something you shouldn't. Yeah, Jonathan has figured out what I'm talking about here. When the detective intimated that he found a clue, I found that a little bit revelatory. How interesting those moments were. And they happen in all of these cases. You're reading, and the detective says, all of a sudden he says, I feel like I've almost figured something out. It's on the tip of my tongue. And I think we've seen that in some classic movies as well, where the detective's like, he's like, it's almost like talking to the camera. It's a moment where the detective's like, my senses are tingling. Like, I don't know exactly why, but something is clicking. And those were my favorite little potential elements here. But bizarrely, I don't think we ever connected them. Like, it never seemed to really make sense. I mean, maybe we can look at those two moments. He had two moments of it in this case. Here he says, I noticed the door was still open. It would take about 30 seconds. That the doorway there were faint blood droplets, more than when we first entered. Likely not from dragging a body. A thunderous realization struck me. So I missed an important clue right under my nose. That seems to be referring to the guy who got hit in the nose. But okay, maybe this was a key part of the solution, that someone ran back and got the scalpel. Just wasn't the part that we were struggling with. That seemed like easy. And then he does it again. I forget where here in this story he had his second little epiphany. In some of the other cases, it was more disconnected from anything. It just didn't seem like there was any connection between his insight and ours. I'm not sure where it happened in here. Yes, it was where he said the cop's experience. That's exactly right. That is exactly where it happened here. The cop says, I didn't shoot the gun. I'm so experienced at this. And our detective says, that's a clue. I want to find that because it was so, it doesn't make any sense. It's when the guy gets killed. Okay, the gunshot runs out. Here we go. He says, the police officer came over. He looked at the syringe and said, the syringe is as thick as a finger. The barrel's completely empty. Only the needle has liquid left. The needle's bent from using too much force. And we say, Mr. Police Officer, you observe very carefully. And he says, ha ha, it's my years of experience. The officer replied, continuing, I felt someone approaching, so I fired a shot in the air to control the situation. The murderer is not me. He doesn't have a gunshot wound. Indeed, there's a bullet mark on the ceiling. Years of experience, I muttered to myself, feeling like I was on the verge of a breakthrough, but unable to grasp it fully. What does it have to do with anything? What does years of experience have to do with anything? So that's just bizarre to me, to discover this storytelling technique that seems uh so powerfully, it just seems like it's one of those counterintuitive, unintuitive things that shouldn't work, but actually engages you as a reader. You're like, what is it? What is it that he's seen that I haven't seen? It's this little clue. It's like an extra meta clue, but then to be used in ways that we couldn't, that it isn't connected to the case. But anyway, those are all the good things. Now, the bad things here are that these cases are just not tight enough. They're not quite tight enough. Now, in fairness to the game, there were a couple of moments in this case and in the previous one where I first said it could be a million different things, and the channel, Jonathan, has been like, no, the timeline doesn't allow enough time to do it your way. So it's not that these were bad, most of them, but I would have liked a little more constraint on potential solutions. And I think the game would have been maybe well advised. Well, in the first case, they actually did a little bit where the first case was actually clever. I think they should have done more of this. In the first case we played, when they're talking, he actually, the detective talking to his friend, actually rules out some possibilities. And that's actually pretty clever. That's actually pretty clever. He says, well, they could have been in on it. And he's like, yeah, but that feels like a cheat. And it feels like the game might have benefited from embracing that. That allows you to tell like an open-ended story, but then sort of on a meta level tell the players that you don't have to worry about rooms moving. You don't have to worry about back doors. Like just a little bit of constraint on the possibilities. Like if the game said, we checked the rooms, there's no hidden entrances or exits on any of them. And it could have said straight out, you know, the killer would not have had time to do this, and then just constrain it a little bit so it's more of a tighter puzzle. Because I think part of the problem we were encountering with some of these was just that we could come up with too many potential solutions. Like once we said there were two people working together, it felt like there were too many options. But the game could have told us, hey, it is two people, and then at least we could focus a little bit. There was some pretty awkward translation here. It seemed to have gotten worse. By the time we played this last case, the translation was the worst of all of them. But in fairness, none of the translations, even when they got sloppy, hindered anything, right? Like none of the translation affected anything important. So I guess what I would say is I would happily play more games in this format. I would love to see someone else a little more detail-oriented take the reins and give us a more compelling detective and a little bit tighter puzzles. Like you could absolutely retheme this with Sherlock Holmes and Watson, right? Like these are very classic locked room cases. These feel like very classic fair play Victorian short stories. Evolved a little bit with some props and cards. And with a overarching little storyline that they kind of dropped at the end. Do you think people like Dear Holmes would like these? It's kind of similar, straight reading of narrative with lots of speculation. Well, it is a good example how you could I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking. But I mean, it would be more compelling for these little locked room, little mini mysteries to be set in a Victorian time with Sherlock Holmes. But I still think you'd need to tighten up the stories a little bit. But if the actual stories were a little more compelling, if the storytelling was a little bit better, but still used the same structure, I think we might enjoy it more. Like right now, I don't think we really cared about the characters or the detective. And if you started to care about them, then even when the solutions were a little crazy, it might be a little more enjoyable. Well, a pleasure. If they do make more of these, and we hear that they're a little bit tighter, a little bit more controlled, I would certainly play them. We are going to be playing something else in the coming days. You know what? Let me rewind a second. Let me make another point. Uh, if I was giving advice to someone trying to evolve this kind of system, I think we've identified a bunch of ways you could evolve this into something more engaging. So one is to make the detective more interesting and the stories more engagingly written, like set them in Victorian, but embrace this closed room thing. But it just occurred to me something else. And that is this. If I think about the two cases here that were most enjoyable to play, to reason about, to debate, I think it's this one and the previous case we played. Okay. Now, here are the cases that were most enjoyable. Now, what do you see that's in common with these cases compared to the tunnel mystery case, which we didn't like? What do you notice? Where did we have the most fun working through the case? The spatial problems with the map. That's exactly right. And I think you could generalize that comment a little bit more, which is to say, one of the unique aspects of this system that works potentially so well is that it's not just a story, but there is this spatial element. Now, these props are not included, these pieces, but you could see if your whole gimmick was sort of closed room, small spatial structure games, like on a train or in a mansion, and you gave the players not just the maps, but maybe some tokens for each of the characters in each case, maybe tokens for weapons, And then you structured each case in a way where the players could say, okay, this guy was in this room, and the dead body was found here, and the weapon is here, and you had little tokens, and then the players could actually play around with it and say, okay, this guy went here, he would have been seen by this person. Like, if you leaned into that, I think you might have some really fun hybrid game where it wasn't just a story and where the spatial pieces, maps, and tokens could help the players reason about a case in a way that's quite hard to do when you're just reading text. Jonathan Warner says, I have no idea if it's actually like that, but don't you have a game where it's a bunch of tiny scenarios set on a boat? It might be a bit like, I thought Jonathan was forgetting that I have that game. Okay, Jonathan Warner is talking about a game that was recommended to me by someone who stopped by the channel, and I picked it up, and it's called Midnight. What is it called? Where is it? Midnight Murder Mysteries is what it's called. And it actually is quite a bit, it is significantly along those lines. There is a map. All the cases are set on this boat with this full spatial layout of each of the decks with different rooms. And people are moving around these rooms, your suspects, and the victims in one place and the killer and witnesses are in other places, and you choose who to go to talk to and ask them about what they saw and what their motivations are. So it actually is, Jonathan, quite a bit like that. It's not nearly as much of a classic locked room mystery. It's not nearly as narrative story based. So it doesn't quite scratch that itch, but it is like the other half of that. So it is interesting to think about combining those two ideas a bit. Interesting. All right. Well, thank you for joining me, Jonathan. A pleasure as always. And Martin and DJ Moneycut and everyone else who joined and participated in the discussion. The discussions are what makes these experiences fun. All right. Now, last wrap up as we're going on. I was saying that in the next week, I do have some time on my hands. I have finished my case, so I think we're going to be streaming some more stuff. We were talking about possibly playing Alexander Morrison, which is behind me there, a little cold case game. I was thinking we played on Friday, but now I'm a little nervous about it because it says on the box that it's long enough that we'd have to continue it on Saturday, and I am getting together with friends on Saturday to marathon watch the final season of a show called You. If you haven't seen it, it's Jump the Shark. The first season is absolutely worth watching. So if you haven't watched the series You, go check out the first season. All right. I'll see you all next time.